Listen, the truth is, when I start a sentence, my continuity is about as good as... it's about 4:45. With that in mind, I'm Sean Ferrick for Trek Culture, and here are the 10 biggest continuity errors in Star Trek. Number 10. You broke your little ships. Star Trek First Contact. In the scene in Star Trek First Contact that Lily confronts Picard, there plays out a tense yet outstanding exchange that shows the seasoned officer finally losing his cool. Forced into facing the Borg once again, Picard is on the verge of losing the Enterprise E to the cybernetic horrors, driving him up and past the point of obsession. Lily manages to goad him into revealing this, name-dropping Captain Ahab from Moby Dick. Quite apart from reminding the audience of Khan in Star Trek II, it jabs Picard to the point where he roars in her face. After she shouts at him to destroy the damn ship, he flips, swinging his rifle around in an arc that smashes the display case containing the models of various Enterprises. As the rifle hits, it shatters the glass, but it clearly misses impacting any of them. However, in the very next scene, Lily comments on how he broke his little ships, picking up the cracked remains of the Enterprise D's star drive section, while the saucer of the Enterprise C lies broken beyond it. Now, unless these models are made of spun sugar, there was no reason that such damage should have been done by Picard's outburst. Number 9. Which Geordie is this? Yesterday's Enterprise. In the seminal third season episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, Yesterday's Enterprise, the arrival of the Enterprise C creates an alternate reality. This changes several things about the setting and crew that the audience is used to seeing. While the most obvious change is the replacement of Worf with Lieutenant Yar, there was also a subtle change to the uniforms that everyone is wearing. They were upgraded to give the Enterprise D crew a more militaristic feel. The collars are raised slightly higher, utility belts are added to the waist, and black cuffs are added to each of the sleeves. The actual changes aren't really highlighted other than what the audience sees on screen. Perhaps this is why this error slips through. In the final scene of the episode, when everything is supposedly set to rights again, Guinan is in 10 forward. She messages the bridge to see if everything is alright, before smiling, satisfied that all is well. She then sits with Geordi to ask him about Tasha Yar. The error? Geordi is still wearing the uniform that supposedly only existed in the alternate universe, black cuffs and all. Number 8. The knife in Hugh's neck, Nepenthe. Star Trek Picard managed to rub some of the audience up the wrong way in the episode Nepenthe. While the episode overall is a wonderful addition to the franchise, not least in the fact that it shows the return of William Riker and Deanna Troi, but it also gives us some fantastic scenes between Elnor and a returning Hugh. Yet it is in these scenes where the issue lies. Narissa, a Zhat Vash operative stationed aboard the artifact, corners Elnor and Hugh in a corridor. While Elnor is able to fight off her accompanying guards, her skills prove a little too much for him. Distracting Elnor long enough, she pulls out a tiny knife and launches it across the room right into Hugh's neck. However, there seems to be a little bit of time travel going on here. Hugh is shown to have the knife in place before Narissa releases it from her hand. It is seen hanging down, presumably ready for Jonathan Del Arco to react in the next shot. With the scene making the final cut, however, it stands out in the battle like a sore thumb. Number 7. Colonel Kira's jersey swap-outs, Take Me Out to the Holosuite. Take Me Out to the Holosuite is an early episode in the 7th season of Deep Space Nine, wherein the station's senior staff and Quark, Rom and Lita are challenged to a game of baseball by Captain Solok of the USS Tecumseh. It's played for comedy, with the station personnel being, almost to a person, dreadful at Captain Sisko's favourite sport. Eagle-eyed observers note that while the crew are given fancy jerseys to play in while they take part in the Holosuite, there is a problem with Colonel Kira's jersey. Once the game begins in earnest, her jersey goes through a transformation. At some points, the name on the back reads Kira, which would be in line with Sisko, Dax or Bashir. However, a little later on, the name is suddenly changed to Nerys, which would be like putting Ben, Jake or Ezri there. There's no explanation for this change, other than the fact that the costuming department must have made several different jerseys for Nana Visitor, though clearly someone didn't talk to the rest of the department when they stitched this jersey with her first name. Number 6. Valtane shifts positions, Star Trek VI. Dmitry Valtane served above the USS Excelsior under Captain Sulu. He was present to witness the shockwave that originated from the explosion of the Klingon moon of Praxis. The enormous disturbance battered the ship, sending the crew flying from their seats. Valtane, who was standing beside the captain at the moment of impact, was thrown to the floor. However, the sequence of shots in the undiscovered country don't line up. For example, as Sulu's cup begins to shake with the approach of the shockwave, Valtane is shown directly beside the captain's chair. Then, the scene shifts to a shot of the crew bracing themselves against their workstations, including Valtane, who is now sitting at a console to the side of the bridge. In the next shot, he's back beside the captain's chair again, standing just in time for the energy wave to slam into the vessel and send everyone flying. Once the wave passes and the ship begins to settle, Valtane is shown taking his seat, that same one that he was pictured in before the wave hit. Number 5. Burnham has a death wish. What's past is prologue. Commander Michael Burnham had quite a rocky first season in Star Trek Discovery. She attempts to instigate a mutiny aboard the USS Shenzhou before being quickly tossed in the brig. She escapes, helping her captain until they beam across to a Klingon ship, with Giorgio dying in combat with CHEKOV'S. Burnham is hauled up on charges and booted from Starfleet. One would assume that this would have been a learning curve so that when she's drafted back into service by Gabriel Lorca, she would be slightly more attentive to what's going on around her. This does not extend to weapons etiquette, apparently. In what's passed as prologue, Burnham and Lorca go head-to-head in combat. Burnham seems to get the upper hand, pulling her phaser on him. However, he is in no danger. She's holding it backwards with the muzzle pointed at herself. This continuity error was apparently caught in the edit, with a small clicking sound added to the scene to signify Burnham flipping the phaser around and holding it in the right way, as she is shown doing a moment later. Number 4. Where'd the tennis ball go? Features end. In the opening moments of Star Trek Voyager's 3rd season episode Future's End, Captain Janeway chats to Tuvok in the ready room. There, she's holding a tennis racket and a strange version of a tennis ball. It's quite distinctive, with like sucker pads covering the circumference. Once the opening credits roll, she enters the bridge with that ball still in hand. Captain Bracton's time ship exits a singularity, and there follows an exchange that sees Voyager fired upon. For the first few moments, Janeway still has that tennis ball in her hand, using it almost as a prop while speaking to her crew. Then, after a few seconds, the ball is gone and she's holding the armrests of her chair. Now, the first thought here is that in the heat of the moment she put it away. However, a few frames later, the tennis ball returns to her hand in the exact position it had been, having vanished previously. It's never mentioned, nor is she shown putting it down and picking it up again. It's simply a case of not lining up the shots properly, adding to this continuity error here. Number 3. Which KEMOCITE canister is removed? The shipment. In the 3rd season of Enterprise, the NX-01 begins its hunt for the Xindi. The 2nd season closed with a devastating attack against Earth, leaving millions dead, so the stakes are at their highest here. Following clue after clue, Archer's ship finally makes a significant discovery in the episode The Shipment. Here, they stumble on a set of Xindi Arboreals, who are preparing to ship KEMOCITE to the main weapons facility. Archer and Reed beam into the facility and open the case containing the various canisters for shipping. In the first scene, there are 2 rows of canisters. Reed picks up one from the closer row, leaving 3 canisters between him and the right-hand side of the case. They're disturbed by the approach of the Xindi and shuffle away, revealing that there are now only 2 canisters between the one Reed has taken and the right-hand side of the case. This incongruity between shots is just enough to take the viewer out of the scene. It's entirely possible that Reed replaced the canister and picked up another, yet one has to ask oneself, why? Number 2. Kirk's shirt rips itself, shore leave. In the first season episode of the original series, Captain Kirk and several crewmen beam down to a planet that effectively serves as the first holodeck in Star Trek. They discover that their thoughts, and indeed dreams, start to come to life on the surface, though sometimes with disastrous effect. McCoy is speared by a Black Knight while another crewman runs afoul of a fighter plane. Kirk runs into his old Academy nemesis Finnegan. It's not the woeful Irish accent that puts this entry here, it's the issue with Kirk's shirt, which is apparently made from wet tissue paper during their fight in the dirt. Finnegan pins Kirk to the ground, though both are left slightly dazed. Kirk's shirt is fully intact. However, in the very next shot, it is torn and hanging from him in scraps. This continuity error has received several comedy sends-up throughout the years, including the Futurama episode Where No Fan Has Gone Before, which depicts Kirk quietly ripping his shirt when he thinks people won't notice, just to get a chance to show off some skin. Respect the hustle, Jim. Number 1. Chekov's changing wardrobe, Star Trek 3. Star Trek 3 The Search for Spock features, arguably, Commander Pavel Chekov's greatest crime against fashion in his long service in Starfleet. Yes, it is that collared shirt which is being referred to here. Quite apart from making the man look like he's auditioning for a part in Amish the Musical, it looks truly uncomfortable. It seems that the filmmakers must have realised this midway through filming. When the Enterprise is stolen, he's wearing the fashion disaster. However, when the ship reaches the Mutara sector and enters orbit of the Genesis planet, Chekov is changed into a plain black undershirt. As he is the only member of the crew to change outfits between scenes, this seems more likely to be a continuity error than a deliberate choice. However, it's not a bad decision by any means. This new shirt, one that will carry over into the voyage home as well, looks infinitely better than the earlier option. Everyone is allowed a bad fashion phase in their lives, but let's hope that this is the worst it ever gets for poor Pavel Chekov. That's everything for our list today, guys. If you reckon I missed anything, please drop it into the comments below. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, because remember, every time that you do that, you are helping this channel to grow. Remember, you can catch us over on Twitter at Trek Culture. You can catch myself at Sean Ferrick and all the various socials as well. Until I'm talking to you again, you look after yourself, you look after your friends and family, you live long and prosper, and thanks so much for stopping by. Cheers!